Hello again, and welcome to part two of the core skill, the art of co-regulation. So, in part one, I went through the three states that our nervous system gets into, and I've flagged up. So, if you haven't seen part one, go watch part one now. Why this is such an important thing to learn, and it is a relationship skill. It's a relationship skill that all couples need to have, people need to have, but certainly parents need to have. And it makes a huge difference to your children if you've got this. It's particularly important if you are neurodivergent, or if your partner's neurodivergent, or if you have a neurodivergent child or children that you have the care of. Um, so, um, so what does co-regulation mean? So, co-regulation means I take responsibility for my nervous system, and I behave in ways that help your nervous system not to spike, but to settle. So I'm going to say that again. Co-regulation means I take responsibility for my nervous system, and I behave in ways that help your nervous system to settle and not to spike. And this requires maturity and courage. And it is a skill. And I compare it a bit to learning to drive. When you first get behind the wheel of a car as a driver for the first time, it can feel quite scary, and there's so much to learn. You need to know the highway code. You need to know where all the gears are, about how to use the mirrors, to observe what's coming up behind, and the wing mirrors, to know what the clutch and the accelerator and the brake do, where the indicators are. And at first, it seems like there's so much to learn that you feel kind of like I'll never be able to remember all of this at once, because it's a lot, and you do need to know how to use it all at once. So it does take a little bit of going through it to identify what all the things are that you need to learn. And then the main thing is that you get on the road and you drive intentionally. You don't intend to hit anything or to crash into anything. You're very careful, and you practice, and you keep doing it until you get it right. And now, most of you watching this who are drivers, you'll know that mostly you drive a bike now and you don't even really have to think too much about it. So you've embedded and embodied how to be a driver. And it's my contention that as a human being, we can learn the skill of not just regulating our own system, but co-regulating with a partner. And it is part of what makes a partnership is, and certainly parenting, it is what makes co-parenting and co-regulation, is that being able to get into tune with each other. And it is a skill, and all skills need to be practiced, and all skills need a certain amount of intentionality and commitment. And as a couple, an agreement, we are going to learn this, and we're going to learn how to do this well. Many of you will have gone to dance classes, and maybe dance as a twosome, or, you know, and you practice how to do it. And this is the same. Co-regulation is a matter of commitment and practice, and it requires maturity, and it takes courage, in a busy life. So, how would you know if you were co-regulating well? Well, you pause, you are mindful, you don't push things, you pause. and you soften instead of sharpen. You know, in part one, I've gone over all the signs of dysregulation. You choose timing over urgency. You know, you pick your moments. Um, Fundamentally, one of the other skills that underpins co-regulation is mindfulness. And you protect the relationship over being right. You're not in competition with your partner. You are in alignment. And the whole purpose of this is to get into alignment with each other as if you were doing a dance together and not stepping on each other's toes, being mindful and aware, and that the relationship is important. So, what would the signs be that you're dysregulating each other? So, notice the first statement I made was that we are each responsible for our own regulation and for how we impact on our partner. So, you know, it is an agreement and a commitment. Um, you can get triggered and go into dysregulation by your partner. So one of the signs that that's what's happening is that where you get somebody is pursuing while one's pursuing and the other's withdrawing, and one's backing off and the other one's kind of coming at them. One escalates and the other's going into a freeze, and both parties feel unseen, unheard, and unsafe. And as I've said in part one, you know, it's futile to even try to collaborate or reach an agreement or solve any kind of problem while you're in a state of dysregulation. And what you find happening is that the same old argument gets repeated over and over again. It's recycled. It's the same thing, just some different words. And that is when people go into dorsal. What's the point? I give up. Here we go again. And, you know, you feel trapped. And if this sounds familiar, it's not because you're failing. It's simply because nobody taught you this and they don't teach it at school. And the chances are that your parents were to some degree dysregulated themselves. And, you know, certainly I grew up in a dysregulated post-World War where people were really literally recovering from a war, the Second World War. And, you know, they were traumatized to some degree or other. So it's best not to look at this as a flaw or a character flaw or something wrong with you. It's just what's happened and nobody taught you. And, you know, just don't get into criticizing yourself about it. Just agree. A simple agreement that we're going to learn how to do this. It changes everything. So couples who thrive make implicit agreements explicit. So you actually speak it out to each other. And and some of the agreements, so write this down in your journal, and if needs be, make flashcards and pin them up around the house. We stop conversations when either one of us is dysregulated. Don't carry on with it. Just stop. And as I said in the first video, just say, we are getting activated. Let's take a little time out. I'll go make a cup of tea and we'll just take it slowly. So another agreement is we do not force resolution. We prioritize safety over speed, and we return to the issue once we are regulated. So it's not a case of avoiding something. This is nervous system intelligence. It's nervous system intelligence to just, you know, recognize between the stimulus and the response, there is a gap. And as somebody famous once said, therein destinies are formed. So rather than react, just take a pause and extend the pause and notice the reaction. Take a breath. Take a breath. You know the old thing of count to 10. There was something in it. Literally count to 10 and prioritize the harmony in your relationship over speed, and agree that you will always come back once you're regulated. Or what I suggest that you do is say, look, can we um, diary a time to carry on this conversation? So actually commit to coming back to it. And if you know things are not going to be left hanging in midair, and you've made an explicit agreement that if you ever have to leave an issue, and one of you feels that there's more to be agreed about it, then don't do it while you're feeling dysregulated. Say, we'll do this tomorrow evening when the children go to bed, and we'll sit down with a cup of tea or a glass of wine or whatever it is that you do to get in alignment with each other. And it's not avoidance, it's wisdom. So one final grounding truth is this: you both have to understand that your partner is not the enemy. Your nervous systems are simply trying to survive, often using outdated strategies learned long before you met. And look, this is a development. It's a developmental thing. It's a maturing thing. And it's a bit like little children, infants. They crawl, and then they stand, and then they start to take a few steps, and then they fall, and they cry a bit, and then they get up and they carry on and try again. And then eventually, not only do they walk, they run. So you see this in this slide, it's developmental. The more you persist, the more you keep learning this as a skill, and don't give up and just recycle arguments over and over and then get so fed up with it that you decide this marriage isn't working and I'm out of here. Believe you me, getting out of a marriage, there's a whole lot to sort out afterwards as well that you need to collaborate on, and you need to be able to reach agreements on. So, might as well learn it while you're in it, because you still need to learn it if you're going to have any kind of a happy life. So stop fighting each other, recognize your partner is your partner, and start facing the moment side by side. And that's getting into alignment. Alignment doesn't just happen, and it's not just your partner. If you were with any other human being having to raise children and run a household, you'd have to get into alignment with them. And it's just one of those things. And I've seen people, they get divorced, they go and they meet somebody else and they think, oh, everything's going to be wonderful, everything's going to be different. But they've got to do the same things. They've got to reach agreement and be in alignment with each other. And if they've got children to co-parent, then they still have to learn how to do this. So if you've got any comments or any queries, pop them in the comments down below, and I will respond. And if you find this video helpful or useful, please click like and subscribe, and watch out for other videos in this series. Bye for now. Bye.